Good evening, Lee.
Howdy.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to Alien Addict.
Anybody watching on Rumble, I just had to try and do some sort of hot fix to make it work because it was not going well. I think it's working. I think it's delayed slightly for some reason. But if you're on Rumble, give us a shout so we know you're alive.
Give us a wave, yeah. You know what to do.
Like drag through a hedge.
Know where to go. You look fine, my love.
I do not.
You look delicious.
I'm glad you didn't say that in the last shirt you had on.
What was the last show?
Shirt. It was an in joke, Ollie.
Oh, okay, yeah. You know what all the platforms that we are on, people, you can go find us on Apple Music, Spotify. You know we're on X, YouTube, and we are on Rumble. Some of you might want to shift over to Rumble. You know, we need a bit of rumbling because we have no idea what's going to happen on this platform. Who knows? It's YouTube. It's a little bit. It's not Wild West anymore. Let's put it that way. But Lee, you came up with a little bit of a. I'm not going to say an idea, but a realization almost that there's something about MH370, and without further ado, I almost forgot we got Tupa down in the bottom here.
Just gonna point it out, I'm not gonna lie.
Tupa, my lad.
Hey, I was enjoying the show.
So yeah, if you could just come on as a guest and just stay in the background, yeah, that'd be great.
Hey.
We've got Dave. He's in the city at the minute. Is hoping to get on when he gets back, if he makes it in time. If not, it'll be me and Dave tomorrow. Ask us anything.
Nice.
But yeah, Lee.
Yeah, I'm interested in this.
Have you got the stuff to bring up? Have you got the things?
Yeah,
so that's probably better.
Give us the.
So, I was looking at some videos the other day when I was doing nothing, and I was looking at the other stuff that was on the Regicideenon YouTube, and I realized the similarity between this Regicideenon UFO video and the UFO video that's part of the Skinny Bob footage. And like, I know what's probably a fake UFO video is a fake UFO video. But if you were to tell me that the same person made those two videos, I would probably be inclined to believe you.
Yeah, I mean, when you showed me those, I was like, that, because I've been editing the stuff today for the intro and that. And the more and more I looked at them together,
even the film grain, like I would be surprised if those like the film grains on them didn't come from the same pack of like film overlays.
I don't know about the film grain because when I've been looking,
they're different. No, that's what I mean. But if you buy packs of film grains for like for Photoshop or so After Effects, something like that, you'll buy like 40 different types of film grain. I would not be surprised to find that they came from the same pack.
Yeah, too. What do you think? So, like this is literally like Lee looked at this the other day and said, "Take a look at this," and I looked at the two together, and I'm like, if you imagine that you take all the filters off both of them and see what they were like raw. What do you think?
This is really, really compelling. Lee, great eye on this.
Cheers, man.
Not only does it look like it was made by the same person, right? Or it came from the same source, but the actual like trees, they look like the same location. And at times, the craft on the Regicideenon video has the same shape and look as the craft in the IVAN0135 video. So I actually think this is really compelling.
See, when I was looking at this, I thought to myself, I wonder, because of the Ivan one seems to start in the sea, and then moves over onto land, and I wondered to myself whether this is essentially part of the same video. That's something being followed. I mean, either again, it's either a hoax video or it's a real video. So for the sake of it, we'll just say it's something that's either gone from land over to the sea, and at some point it's been chopped up and found in two different places. See, the interesting thing I thought there was, well, the MH370 stuff, if it's real or if it's a hoax, does you can say the same thing about the Skinny Bob footage. I mean, I lean to the Skinny Bob footage being a hoax, but the idea that you might have one person that's in charge of both these accounts, that's and something sort of as iconic as Skinny Bob and now as iconic as the MH370 footage, that they could have come from the same person, is like that. It is wild to me. And Ollie's we went back and looked at some of our old videos where we've covered the Skinny Bob stuff, and you tried to click our old links, didn't you, Ollie?
Yep.
And those old links that we put in, which would have took you to Skinny Bob videos from Ivan's channel, are now private. So at some point, even though Ivan supposedly disappeared, at some point he's gone in, made those links private, and re-uploaded the videos.
That's strange.
It is strange, isn't it?
I'm trying to think of why that would happen. It can a
Or an
video
editor or
can a
something
video
like that.
URL change over time for any reason?
I don't know enough to say one way or the other.
No, I don't either. Like literally, but all the videos that we've done on Skinny Bob in the past, and you can go check them, saying that you're going to go say that I've just put a private video in there, but
Yes.
whatever. They say private. When you click on them, they say private, and I can't fathom why they say private now, because I'm wondering. I got excited to start off with that because I thought, oh my god, IVAN0135 the guy who did Skinny Bob, the channel's gone, it's all gone private. But then I was messaging Lee going, it's gone, Skinny Bob channel's gone. And then he says, no, it's still there, but all the videos that we've linked, and for any YouTube creator, because we usually get other YouTube creators that do our stuff on Skinny Bob watching our Skinny Bob stuff. If you've linked it on your old videos, check it out. Is it private? I mean, I don't know why it would be.
And when was the last time you checked it and it wasn't private? That you can recall.
Well, that episode would have been a recent one, wouldn't it? The last Skinny Bob episode wasn't a whole heap of time, or maybe a year ago. We put it one last year.
Yeah, that's recent. Okay. When did the Skinny Bob videos come out?
2011.
11.
Yes.
Okay. And then the MH370 videos drop in 2014. Like what? 2 weeks, a couple weeks, 2 to 3 or 4 months after the actual event.
I think it was days, wasn't it?
The first one, yeah, you're right, might have been days. And then the second one dropped, and then that one was a couple months after, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's very interesting. Like I'll look at those videos all day and all night now, right? I'll look for telltale signs in them, because like as a videographer, editor, and I cut my teeth on like the special effects software, the cutting edge special effects software that was available in 2011, 2012. And I didn't carry on with it. I like just people without special effects. I wasn't into it, you know what I mean? So I didn't carry it on, but I still learned everything you need to know about what it would look like when composited, and what kind of tools were available, and what it would take to make that kind of stuff, especially on your own. What kind of computer it would take to have to run that if you wanted to complete something like the MH370 video.
I think that's something that people always forget. People always forget is hardware. It always comes back to software, and people forget that it wasn't like it is now, where you can buy a $400 laptop and go, oh yeah, I'm going to edit 4K video on this.
Yeah. And like the tool like Blender we have now, we have so many different tools that would make this intuitive and easy. But one of the things to consider as well is not just the hardware, it's that you're paving new ground. Like someone could look at the MH370 videos today, and they have, and they've said, I could fake these. But what they can't say is I could fake something in 2012 or 2014 with the hardware and software that no one has ever seen before that looks physically as real and as compelling as these videos. Because, it's anyone can recreate something. There's more than one way to skin a cat, right? Like in special effects, it's like, dude, there's 1,000 different ways. Hell, in Photoshop, there's 1,000 different ways to accomplish the same goal. And it all depends on what what you need it for. Do you need to pass it off to a client? Do they get the raw file? Or are they getting just the JPEG? Like there's so many different things that play into it. But one of the things that I think is interesting is that the Skinny Bob, when I first saw the thumbnail and you guys are making these comparisons, is the way the community has reacted to Skinny Bob and to MH370, right? Which I know that the Skinny Bob videos are totally, to some people, like the realest shit ever. Like they still consider it like the quintessential video, the evidence. When I look at it, I see nothing but CGI, right? I just can't help but see it. But it has to be said that the level of CGI, the level of effects that I see when I see that video is movie level, right? It's not amateur, it's not someone on a laptop in 2011. And then when we look at the MH370 videos, we can see the same thing. And Red Panda Koala asked Sean Cahill, hey, have you seen these videos? What are your thoughts? And Cahill was a friend of Lou Elizondo, said, yeah, I've seen those. I know about those videos. And all I can say is that if they're fake, whoever faked them knew a lot about stuff that they probably shouldn't know about. And that makes it even more interesting and strange that it made its way on the internet. And now we're all talking about it. But the idea has been shopped around that the MH370 videos are so well faked and carry with them so much inside knowledge about these security systems, the drones, and all this other stuff that like they could have been faked by our government. We have to ask ourselves, what's the potential of that? Because the same with the Skinny Bob video, like who commissioned these things to get made? Let's say they're all CGI, which I'm not 100% convinced. I just have my feelings about Skinny Bob. And I also have my feelings about this video. Like if the MH370 videos are faked, it's a fake done and perpetrated for some goal and reason that goes beyond, hey, I want credit for this like thing. No one's come forward to claim responsibility for those videos. No one. The MH370 videos are by far more compelling than the Skinny Bob video. And right now it's the hottest. And for almost a year, it's been the hottest, maybe a year's an exaggeration, but the hottest UFO story around. And Ashton's one of the hottest podcast guests around that you can get on the topic for sure. So why hasn't the creator come out? Why hasn't the creator,
especially now, when they put a bounty up for the videos, it's again, you can say the same thing with the Skinny Bob videos as well. They've what use if you're using it for self-promotion, then self-promotion doesn't work unless there's something to promote. Yeah.
And no one, like, if I was in my room and I was working on, it's 2014 and I'm working on just coincidentally an animation of these spiraling, orbs, and coincidentally a scene with a plane, and I saw, MH370 went down. You know what? Let me just get creative here. I'm inspired now.
I want to make 2 days free.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Whatever. And since all the heavy lifting's done, it's already done. I just got to add these two things together and then let it ride, And then they do, and they forget or something. But no, if they were still alive, or if they were a citizen and they were still alive, they would be taking all the credit for. They would be like, no, I did that in college, or I did it in this, and this is the project that it was part of. Like, it's very rare, unless it's like a really top secret Hollywood project, right? That like has a bunch of different stuff hanging in the balance if it's going to see production or not. They might do a pre-composite or pre-res. They might do like a proof of concept. The same thing happened with Deadpool. Remember Deadpool? They recorded this whole short, right? And then no one ever saw it. The studio saw it, people saw it, but no citizen ever saw it. And then it magically gets leaked on the internet, probably by Ryan Reynolds. He leaks it. And then all of a sudden the fans come in and demand, we want the movie. And now the movies are made. Now we're on Deadpool 3 or whatever. We got Wolverine in the mix. Amazing. So if the Skinny Bob video or the MH370 video or studio productions from some professional production company seeking to prove a concept, or where's that project, and where's the Hollywood, what I mean, compositors and designers and 3D artists, where are they saying that, hey, I worked on that? You don't do Skinny Bob from your house in 2011, right? You don't, without a couple people, or without bragging. It's crazy that it's been the secret for so long.
Well, this is why I find it interesting that the links changed on the Skinny Bob stuff, because what I've always said to Ollie is, do you remember a thing, like, it was hot on the internet? Hot might be the wrong word to use, actually, considering this, but it was the homunculus. So this Russian filmmaker, yeah, does it ring a bell?
Yes.
Right. Long story short, it was a Russian filmmaker.
Quite weird, film.
Yes, yeah. It was a series of short films where the homunculus is like a mythical sort of thing that a human can make by putting human sperm into a chicken egg.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah, and then growing it, and you grow it into a separate animal. Like it's an old alchemy thing, like the homunculus. So there was a series of short videos, and it was. I was sat editing a podcast, and my friend Susie sent me the first one because she'd found it. She said, "Check this out; it's well weird." I stayed up for the next 4 hours till early hours in the morning watching the whole series of it, because I was fascinated by it. Because I was like, "Well, is it real? Is it fake stuff? I don't know." Anyway, the thing is, he ends up growing it with a tank. One dies. He has to grow another one. He finds out that he has to start feeding it blood, and then the videos stop, and it sent this whole thing echoing across the internet. Well, why did it stop? He found out he needed to eat blood. Does that mean, did it fucking attack him? Did it kill him? But it turns out the guy had a heart attack and died and didn't get to finish his project. Now, the reason I brought that up is that's what I thought what might have happened with the Skinny Bob creator, and that's why he didn't come forward, and it's just gone on and on and on. But if someone's been in and edited the links and stuff like that, that would suggest that Ivan is still about.
Someone in the chat said. So someone in the chat said Chris Cunningham. Now, Chris Cunningham is a special effects supervisor and director from England. Right now, he is a genius. He is by every definition of the word. He's a prodigy. He is one of a kind. Chris Cunningham was working on the Alien film. Maybe it was the David Fincher sequel or something, when he was 17 years old. Wow. And he was designing these things for it, these creature designs. And he went on to create the Aphex Twins music videos. He went on to do so many amazing videos that blow my mind. He had one, Rubber Johnny, terrifying videos, but he's the only person who could have pulled off the Skinny Bob video in that year. I'll tell you that. And when I watch his videos, when I watch Skinny Bob, that's who I'm thinking of. Right now, you can go back right now and you can watch Chris Cunningham's commercials for PlayStation, and and you won't see a pixel out of place. You won't see the strings. You won't see the green screen. It has aged perfectly the way he did it, but there's not a lot of Chris Cunninghams out there, and if there was a Chris Cunningham out there making fake UFO videos, he'd be as popular as Banksy or something right now, because the amount of what's the word, how convincing the work would be legendary. It would blow the roof off of things. But that's one of the things you got to compare it to. I'm glad someone brought Chris Cunningham up, because he's the only one. But he's been working in studios forever. He has all these skills acquired, a team of people helping him. He has graphic designers and compositors and CGI people that he could call on to help him with something, to do it really fast. But there's no sign of that infrastructure or that pipeline with the creation of these videos. We don't have any of the evidence.
Yeah, see, that's the weird thing, isn't it? Because you would think if he what?
I was muted. It's fine. You go. And I've got something.
You would think that he's done this video. It hit. It came. It's done really well. Where's the next one? Wouldn't you would make another Skinny Bob video?
Mm-hmm.
So for anybody just joining us, Lee sent me a message the other day, and he said you need to check out this old video from the Regicideanon account and go back because we've done quite a few videos on Skinny Bob, a few little edits. We've had a lot of stuff shared out on Reddit with the Skinny Bob community. What I would say, I'm going to play it for you again now, guys. Anybody in the Skinny Bob community or anybody MH370 community, whatever, you guys are great researchers. Find me the location where this is being filmed. I think that's important.
There's that guy on TikTok and YouTube who can find things with a single picture anywhere on the world. So, and strangely enough, his videos have been popping up all over, like every time I'm like online, and that's how I was like looking at the thing. I'm like, wait a second, the trees look similar. There's a lighthouse. This looks like it could be on a beach. You know what I mean? Like a very island-like. Yeah. There's not a lot of. It's not hyper residential. You know, it's just like there. But yeah, very similar.
Also, like you can see briefly the Regicideanon one. You can see the camera hits a bit of the aircraft. You can see a little bit of the aircraft, whatever it is. You know, at the beginning there, you see it.
Oh, do that again. Run it back.
There you go.
That's something,
hey,
yeah.
Try and pause that, Ollie.
I can't never noticed that. It's in the editing software.
Oh, you saw you.
I know.
What is that? It's definitely it's playing at a higher speed than when it was filmed. That's for sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the interesting thing with the Skinny Bob stuff as well, isn't it? Because the frame rate on that is different to the to the time that's on the camera.
Really?
Yeah. The time passes. I can't remember. We'd have to play it again. The time passes. I only
send
found
the
it
link to Tube so then I can bring it up and then pause it.
I did a like a short documentary on my old YouTube channel about Skinny Bob, and yeah, it's one of the things I clocked on it was the fact that the time passing in the video isn't the same as the time running and the timestamp at the bottom of the video.
Now, that could be due to a couple things, right? Compression, but also if the video was uploaded or exported digitally at a different frame rate than it was originally, that could happen too. A lot of film is what filmed at like, it was like 24, you know what I mean? 24 frames. You can crank them higher if you wanted to, get as high as like 40 or whatever. But then, you know, it's a mechanical object where now digital cameras solidly will shoot, you know, on 23.39 or 29.997, 30, 60, 50, all those other things. And you'll catch weird stuff like that happening. But like, what are your guys' thoughts on Skinny Bob? And what was going through your mind now that you guys have made this connection? Like, where's your mind going on this? Because this is actually really compelling.
Go on, Ollie.
So I've been, and I'll bring the other stuff up as well, Lee, that you show me, because I've got it all here. But for quite some time, I thought there was one cut in the Skinny Bob that may have been a real alien, and it's this one. And the reason behind that is there's a channel on YouTube who has deleted the video. I got in touch with him. I've got the video clipped, and he said he was a video special effects editor, and he said he'd analyzed the entire Skinny Bob video and looked, and he said you could see it was fake. He could even pull the stock footage, but he said nothing matched from this one scene in there. Absolutely nothing matched whatsoever.
That's interesting.
I do actually have it, even though he's pulled the video, which he's either pulled it out of embarrassment or
no way.
If you get your conspiracy head on.
I mean, embarrassment? No way, dude. That's been running for like what, 13 years? That video's been up. legend.
Let me just
Even if it didn't age into like 2025, if people started to see how it was put together, still, dude, I wouldn't take it down if I did it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. Tell me what other special. Go watch a Marvel movie and tell me that it aged well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And someone in the chat mentioned earlier, Chris Cunningham made Rubber Johnny on his laptop. Sure. But by the time Chris Cunningham bought that laptop, he was a millionaire from all of the other art. You know what I mean? He was a very successful, very educated, very experienced person who can do that. And it was not a regular laptop. I'll tell you that. You didn't get it from Best Buy.
Yeah, like you say, I think the hardware thing's always the thing that holds me up with people faking things back then.
Here you go.
Cut to the chase. I will tell you that I'm a professional visual effects artist. This is, I make fake stuff like this all day. I really couldn't tell that some of it was fake and some of it was real until I looked at it very closely. And having looked at it very closely, I can say pretty confidently that at least some of these videos are fake.
So I think I just left the link to his channel below. I don't know if I played the only thing I may have played was how much he was showing, how much it would have cost to do the Skinny Bob video. There is one which that's all his work where he put the how much it would have cost, all the specifications and all that jazz. But he said in his original video, which it has gone. Can you see that? Am you still seeing my screen here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
So if I click on his video here, which I left the link, it's gone private. He's made it private, which I find interesting. Like,
okay,
just out of interest, have you clicked any other links on old videos we've put up? Have they all gone like that? Because that's the same as the Skinny Bob one.
No,
it's not. Yeah. I just thought it might be something that is exclusive to our channel rather than something.
But now you got me thinking, because I would like to find that debunk. But yeah, after seeing that, and I said to Lee, I still think that's real. At least he said, "Have you seen our chat? Because we had. Have you heard of Charlie Weiser?"
Yes.
Yes. So Charlie Weiser sent us this. And Charlie seems to think that could be what we're looking at. This.
No.
Yeah, I see. I'm with YouTube's. I don't know about Lee, but I don't think that. But
the nose, the top one, the nose is too different, and yeah, I don't think they're the same thing. I think is the
well, what about this?
Yeah, that's compelling.
I love that. You know, what would help is if we could find a free or cheap purchase of the Mars Attacks alien, right? Because if it exists online as some type of pack, then that's great, right? Because they definitely had CG models of these things everywhere. Now, also, if we could link Regicideanon to the production of Mars Attacks, then we're golden, right? We figured it out, right? We know now that it's a Hollywood, guy with access to all this stuff and experience who could produce these things at a professional level very quickly, very easily, and then do it from work and then kind of be like from the shadows, just post it up. But the alien I saw in these videos, the Skinny Bob, and the comparison that Charlie Weiser put together, these are absolutely not the same things whatsoever. The ones on the right look more humanoid. There's a very shallow, what I would call like a cheekbone on the right-hand side, and it doesn't blend with the lower part of the eye socket, right? But in these ones on the left, on both examples, you see a very interesting design choices about the cheekbone and the bottom eye socket. Is it an eyelid? Is it a cheekbone? Is it eye socket? And that's a design issue. The one on the right looks much more convincing because it just seems more natural. Looks more humanoid. Right, yeah. less like mutant face, you know.
This is why I've been intrigued with that one little scene, Tupa, because that doesn't match the alien in Skinny Bob. It doesn't look anything like it.
It doesn't. And I love that you bring this up because, like, I think that if these videos are real, if there's realness to them, I honestly think that just because we can't figure out where they came from, that's really compelling. MH370 videos, something's going on with it. Very likely, right, that the best kinds of disinformation are you just kind of go into real data and then screw with it a little bit. You know what I mean? You want to, you can't erase it completely. You know what I mean? If the real MH370 videos found their way on the internet, right, then it would be beneficial if you wanted to cover it up to basically take the real footage, do something weird to it that made it unbelievable or provably fake, right? At least at one point, right? Just, add a bunch of shit to it, confuse and cloud the thing, and then just assume that the public's too dumb to piece it together and they'll never have the real data. And then now with all what we know about censorship, you could obviously create all kinds of bots that would take down any other video. Like if they say you can't scrub something from the internet, but you certainly can. Mm-hmm. If you have the power to do it, then you certainly can scrub the internet. And so, yeah, creating a fake version that could be proved wrong or has fake elements in it while you're trying to scrub the real one off the internet, that's how I would do it. I think about that all the time. So with the Skinny Bob video, there's some real footage in there. Well, of course there is. We don't know who made them. You know what I mean? That makes sense to me. I mean, that means that it just smells like government interference or something. I know it might sound crazy, but we're looking at videos that we don't know the source of that have been like part of, like, the center of a lot of conversations, not only recently, but as far back as 2011 with the Skinny Bob stuff. So how can it have survived that long? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a guy, isn't there, on X who looks into the MH370 stuff as well, but his name escapes me. And he believes that the videos and orbs are real, and then the flash was put in afterwards as a way to discredit it. I think that's interesting. But even then, when you listen, because I've always been on the of the opinion that those videos are real, and I still am. That's I think if they were if they were corridor crew, like, is easy to explain away. Like that way, it would have been done. It wouldn't have got this far. It wouldn't have got as far as it has done.
Yeah.
We've seen it for years. That's the thing that gets me, that people I don't think people understand, is we've had hoax videos come out for years. They come out, people find them, they pull them to pieces, and then they're pretty much proven hoaxes. There'll be some hangers on. Out there that will take them to the graves with them as being real. But the majority of us know, right, that's not a thing. That hasn't happened. It's the other way around. In fact, the hangers on, which would be going like these are real, they're actually the debunkers this time when it comes to the MH370 stuff, which
I love. Mm-hmm. I'm a creative person. I'll make 1,000, excuses or ideas to align with what I want to, like, be in the mix. Like, so when I see videos and stuff, I tend to kind of disregard them, but I look for very specific elements of it, like how people are reacting to it. Because the fact is, psychologically, if we saw something, I actually believe that we've all probably seen real UFO videos and laughed it off. I think like the realest thing that we've been shown, we laughed it off, or didn't even look at it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Didn't even look at it. Maybe we watched it and our mind wouldn't register it, and it just immediately went to the next clip. Those like UFO montages, right? Where there'll be like a compilation of all the UFO sightings from 2022. I bet you there's some of them that are real, but our minds, like, if we truly saw something new, something amazing, we wouldn't register it, and most people would reject it. And with the MH370 videos, that's what I see, is like a rejection, like, this is too fake. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they are. I think that explosion's very interesting at the end, and the most important part of the video. If the 3 orbs circling around the plane get shown, we can come up with 1,000 different, and the government could too, reasons how they could have gotten that to work. right? Oh, is this micro jet propulsion? You just can't see it. You know, it's too fast. Or there's propellers on them, but you just can't see they're too fast. But what they couldn't explain away, what they wouldn't want to explain away, is how that plane disappeared. And so what I see is a cut that's far too quick, right? With an explosion that does seem a little stock explosion like in the MH370 videos. And if there was a point in which the government wanted to chop out something and then just let it be, that's the moment. Because what if it didn't just flash disappear? What if it compressed on itself? What if it shrank? What if it went in reverse? Like, what if, you know what I mean? What if it slowly faded out? All of those yield way more data and information about the weapons tech than 3 orbs circling around a flying object. You know, that's almost like the easiest part. So yeah, if they wanted to come in and slice something up, I think it would be that explosion part.
This is the Regicideanon video.
What is that?
I think that's a hand. I think that's a hand like that.
That's so degraded. It looks like very little care was taken to preserve the footage before it was donated to the museum. You'll notice that it seems to go into fast forward partway through. This is because the capture frame rate was slowed down midway through the shot. I think this may have been the end of a film reel. Some film cameras are made to slow the reel when it gets close to reaching the end. It helps keep the film strip from being damaged when it finishes. The side effect is when you play it back, footage captured at a slower frame rate appears like it's in fast forward when it's displayed at a normal frame rate. Here I have adjusted it to compensate. It's choppy because there aren't as many frames per second. But
just stop that for a second.
This roughly represents.
Do you know what the dead weird thing about this footage is? And if it wasn't for the fact of the year it was put out, you go there straight away. It looks AI. Everything about it, the softness of it, the way it moves. Yeah. If you'd have told me that was made in like Sora, I'd have gone, all right, okay, that makes sense. And the whole thing goes for Skinny Bob stuff. Like you would swear that this was like a bunch of 10-second video clips that somebody had made in AI software and then just pieced them all together.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we also know that the one that you find is very similar to.
Oh yeah, that's for me.
100% from 2011.
Yeah.
And if this has come from when was the last time Regicideanon put anything out? I'm
not sure. You would have to go to his site.
I don't think there is a site anymore. Is the tube?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Right. I'd have to double check. I can't say for sure.
Mm-hmm. Like there is no site. I mean, Ashton will know that. I think he's in the chat. There is no Regicideanon account anymore. Nobody can get in touch with that person.
My beef with the Regicideanon video right now is that the UFO isn't maintained in the center of frame, and that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Because it almost tells me that the whoever was, because if let's say this is a real film, right? It's a real film that was found footage, archive footage.
Agree more, by the way.
Right, and then they just added a UFO where the UFO would have been, then the camera would never react to it. And it doesn't look like the camera is reacting to it. If I was filming a UFO from a plane, I'm not 90% of my frame isn't the ground, dude. This UFO is dead center every time.
But on that note, what if the camera, if this is old footage, and what if it is a locked in place camera?
That's a good point. Now play it from the beginning again and watch how it moves out the window. But then when it goes into fast forward, as it goes over the trees, it does seem mechanical. Check this out.
So I'll take the croaky voice out.
You're good. Yeah, camera on a tripod in the plane. It's on a mount, so it can move left to right, but it's mounted to the plane. No camera shake. That would explain why the camera can't tilt up and down.
Right.
The camera tilts left to right, but it never tilts up and down, which could help explain the UFO going basically partially out of frame.
It's a low altitude as well, isn't it?
Yes. This has got to be one of those little propeller planes, a single propeller plane, like. It's trying to maintain the same speed as the object too, Look at the shadow. Light's always coming from the left towards the right. Watch the shadows of the trees, see if it matches the chrome of the thing. That's interesting. Very well composited. Let's say it's fake, you know what I mean? They did everything. They did everything they had to do. The blacks never go deeper than the rest of the scene. The whites never go brighter than the rest of the scene. It's matched in there perfectly. It has the atmospheric distortion when it gets further away from the camera. The you know, there's also this weird haze around it, which someone could say is like, you know, part of its propulsion. It's got like some, you know, their UFOs are reported being blurry, right? They have some plasma around them or something. And if you're compositing, that gives you so much extra room, right? Because you're now erasing the lines around it. You don't have to, you can fade it away. So that's very interesting. But the best thing you can do for mid-range CGI scenes, like let's say that this whole terrain is fake, right? Let's say it's from a video game. Let's just imagine it's from a video game. Let's say it's from a video game in 2011. Now, how you'd want to make it real is you would add as many filters as you could. So you would try to make it look as old as shit, right? Then you'd add all this extra, you know, stuff on it, which would be the film grain, the scratches. You'd even amplify it more because now the mind is you're removing the ability for the mind to discern and look for the telltale signs that it's fake. It just starts to feel way more real. And you have the parallaxing, you have everything on the ground to make it feel real. Then you change the speed of it. So now it's actually going faster. So your mask, if this is fake, you're using every tool in the book. Remove the color, right? Now you're removing more information, more ways for the eye to tell this is fake. So yeah, if you are not hoaxing, but if you are creating a scene and you want it to look and feel more real, you just keep adding these things to it. That's why like the best, well, let me put it this way. When you see an obvious hoax on the internet of a UFO clip that's like, oh, that's really bad. If someone records the screen with their phone and then uploads that, it gets way more interaction because it's harder to determine because you're not looking at the original source. You're recording it off of another screen. And now you're removing more and more of the mind's ability to discern if it's real or not. And so this is like right in the pocket of where it needs to be so that you don't have the information you need to determine it.
Interestingly enough, exactly what was done with the moon landing. The moon landing was projected onto a screen, and then the TV companies were allowed to film that screen, not given a direct feed.
What is this? Have you seen this bit? So this bit here, it's interesting. You said about a computer game. So I'm thinking like a Battlefield or something like that. You know,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So you got like a Battlefield game. If they've done that in this, and I don't know how easy it would be to add the UFO to that, like, but it does look like an explosion.
Just go back a few frames.
You saw the Loch Ness monster?
Yeah. Did
Nessie.
You? Yes, I did.
Now keep going back. There you go. It's got a neck.
Yeah.
We cracked it. We cracked it.
Right, but here it looks like, because I don't think why they wouldn't do an edit, would they? They wouldn't do like a flash edit in there, like an effect to go to the next frame because it's supposedly real. So what is this? So watch, it's like something any minute now hits like an explosion.
That could be two things. It could be the end of the film, real. Right, so the film literally cycles out right now, and then, or if you notice where the light's coming from in the scene is right where the camera has to aim, right? So it could be turning towards the sun and catching a lens flare. That could be one of the elements too. Wait, does something just disappear from the frame though? That oh, I think it's just a black dot of darkness right there. Next frame, it's gone. It looks like an object in the scene, though. That's why I think it's strange that it's there 1 second and it's not the next. I see RPK in the chat, Heather in the chat. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Hey, guys. I'd never seen this footage before, too. Had you?
No.
I'd never seen
No.
it. It looks great.
It does, dude. Like, when you isolate the craft itself, it looks even better with just the craft. But of course it would, because the craft is just there. It's when you blend the two objects, like a real footage of the beach or real aerial footage going over, and then you want to composite something in. The hardest thing to do is to make it look like it belongs there. And the only way to avoid that is to create the entire scene from scratch, or have a AI intuitive knowledge of where something has to be in the frame. And artists have been trying to do this forever. And how do you make something look realistically lit, realistically in there that's not? And so the big solution would be to create the entire scene from scratch. But I'm looking at the trees parallaxing. I'm looking at the shadows on the cars that are on the road on the island, and I'm not seeing an easy, quick and dirty job on this at all. I'm seeing if they CG'd that whole island, they did the whole. Every tree is accounted for. Nothing is a background mesh. You know what I mean? But it's a small area to do that in, so it's not impossible. But how fast that's moving, the frame rate, the smoothness of it, nothing seems to be dragging or catching up. I say that video is real footage. If it's fake, then the UFO was added later. And the UFO looks great, but
see, what I'm interested now is I know the only way that Ashton has ever sort of put forward the idea that those videos could even possibly be faked is if they were government done, or if it was like some sort of inside job. I mean, the other thing is what if whoever this Regicidaanon guy is, what if he is the same person as Ivan?
To be great,
and that goes back to Ollie's thing about maybe a couple of frames from the Ivan's video being interesting. Maybe this guy's been leaking different stuff for ages.
Yep. Maybe there are a set of different posters on different platforms that are there to be the outlets for some of this government altered footage that is meant to blur the lines between hoax and reality. There's very funny things that have been going on with platforms. We know for sure the FBI, the CIA, they have backdoors into all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you really look into how Google was started with the alphabet, dude, this is all government stuff. Like, if they wanted to put or remove content for any goal ever, they can and will do it. Yeah, that's so, dude. They look very, very similar. Like, this warrants a lot of investigation, because it actually deepens the mystery between both videos to think that they could be connected. Same kind of time frame, same high level of production value, and then no accountability for it. No one's taking credit.
Yeah,
Crazy.
It's the same with the alien interview video, isn't it? That oh my God, Jon Stewart is talk about all the time. John's been on this show a few times now. And it just gets me thinking, like, because the same thing had me thinking with the MH370 videos. Like, if they've sat on the internet for so long and they are real, then you think, well, what other videos have been sat on the internet for this long that are real?
Yeah,
I mean, I've always had, and
question.
I still have a real bee in my bonnet about the 90s alien autopsy video. Now, we've done a few different shows on that. I still think you go back and you look at that autopsy footage, it still looks incredible. And when you think about other practical effect movies where you've had similar stuff, you go back and look at that, and it's awful, and that has held the test of time. The guy which was supposed to, like, the guy that was in charge of it, Ray Santilli, it was supposedly him, a guy called Stereos, and a special effects artist that worked for the BBC doing. No, that he wasn't the special effects artist. I forgot the special effects guy's name. There was another guy. Was it Spurious that was the
Spurious was the director guy, wasn't he? He wasn't.
Yeah, he was the driver. He wasn't the prosthetics guy, though, was he?
No, that was an English guy that did the doctor.
Yeah, he worked for the BBC that worked on Doctor Who at the time. Now, you go back and look at Doctor Who at that time, and it was dreadful. Like, it wasn't Doctor Who we're exporting now. It was a different animal.
Yeah, it was like
And
campy almost.
Yeah, and you look at the difference between what this guy was making for Doctor Who, and then all of a sudden this thing that he knocked up with supposedly like a mold that he was making in his own home, and the innards of like a pig and things like that, and using like a pig elbow joint for the knees and stuff like that. The stereo sky is interesting because we tried, well, not us, Dave tried to buy his book, and he went to Amazon. There was one copy of his book available for like $150, and Dave said, "No, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it to see if I can buy it." And he bought the single book from Stereo Sky, which is the book is about faking the.
He bought it live on the show.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. We were
awesome.
on the show and he bought it, and they cancelled his order. So there was one copy for $150, and it was being sold by Stereos as well. It wasn't like a random account selling a copy of it, and that copy was cancelled. The other interesting thing was I had, I don't usually do this sort of thing as far as like guests that have said they'll come on the show and like think stuff like that. But in this situation, it's nothing against this person at all. It's just context for the conversation. I booked and spoke to over the course of a couple of days Ray Santilli, who was in charge of faking the alien autopsy video, and he agreed to come on the show and speak to us about it. And we were all good. It was like literally he said, when would you like me to come on? And I basically turned around to him and said, look, we record on these days. If those days aren't good enough for you, we'll just do another show another day. Like, you give me the time and the day and we'll do a show about it, because like this, it was part of my childhood, the alien autopsy video.
Yeah,
you know,
dude.
That was the thing that's different about that to almost everything else we speak about on this topic. That was front page news in the UK. That alien was on the front page of every single newspaper in the UK when that video came out, and it was British. Yeah, it was huge here,
and it was on every show over here too. Like every like Fact or Fiction, you know, like it was the subject of many different made-for-TV documentaries that were like, they never gave you a solid answer either. They're always like, we don't know.
Yeah. And it was only like in the future, Santilli would come out and said that they faked it and stuff like that, and I don't know. And a little bit of me wonders whether Ray, because obviously when Ray said he was going to come on, he must have gone and checked us out. A little bit of me wonders whether he watched the video that we did talking about the alien autopsy and realized that myself, for instance, still entertained the idea that it's real. And for some reason, he didn't want to come on because of that. That's the only thing I could, because like we were golden. Like I was really, really excited about getting that interview. So
how have they aged in your opinion? How has that video aged?
Amazingly.
Yeah.
I kind of get sick to my stomach when I see it again. Because not sick like gross, but I mean almost like I'm looking at a real dead body. They look it
looks dead, doesn't
disturbing.
Like,
Yes.
That's
and there's a thing like we just looked at those comparisons between the ones that Weiser shared, right? And I could, the ones on the left were like clear rubber dolls made by a designer who didn't really know what they were doing, who liked monstrous things. Like, back in the day, you'd watch like Goosebumps or something, and the creature creation for these shows was so low budge, but they just wanted to exaggerate these features, right? Like look at the devil from the movie Legend. Like perfect example, exaggerated, everything's, but that's like cartoonish, right? That's what you're taught to do, to exaggerate these features to make someone more evil or more whatever. But the skilled ones, the skilled artists who do that makeup, who do that modeling, they derive it from reality and they just push it a little bit further. Just a little bit further into something that hasn't been seen. And when I look at those autopsy videos, that's what I see is an artist with restraint. You know what I mean? If someone designed those, they had restraint. They were able to dial it back and make sure it still read and was real. And there's not a lot of artists like that out in the world who wouldn't take credit for their work or who you couldn't trace directly back to. So it's another thing. Yeah.
100%.
Someone in the chat asked what I meant when I said when I was talking about the parallaxing of the trees. So parallaxing, you guys probably know. I don't know how much I got to break down, but essentially, objects closer to you move at a different speed in reference to your motion than objects further away. So if you're ever in a car on a road trip and you're looking out the window, you'll notice the hills in the background are barely moving, but the grass in front of you is moving fucking like it's lightning, like super fast. And then the field in between you and the mountains are moving medium. And you can determine how far away something is based on the speed in which it's moving. When you want to recreate something, like if you wanted to create this as an animation, you would have to get that reality, you'd have to literally draw every tree, every frame, because everything's moving at a different speed. When you do it with like 3D, there's all kinds of cut corners you can cut, and one of them is that kind of detail, because the subject is obviously the UFO, and that's what you expect people to be looking at. But when you're examining the footage and you look at the trees, you look at the details of the shadows, you look at the cars, the lighthouse, everything else is checking out too, which requires painstaking attention to detail, or an actual 3D model, which they did not have available back in the day. They just didn't have it. If you went to Google Earth, it would be a flat image, some buildings, some things, but not every tree. It's not like it is now. You can't just go get that and expect it to like work quickly. So my guess is real footage. So yeah, parallaxing is just the speed in which an object passes by the frame based on the distance it is from the field of view or whatever, from you.
Yeah, don't say parallaxing 3 times in a row, otherwise Mick West will come out of nowhere and debunk you.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Cheers, Chaddy Adams. That's my mate. He doesn't realize that YouTube takes 40%, but you can buy me a beer on the weekend. Cheers.
I like the fact that that's not good enough for you, Ollie, and he's got to buy a beer to make up the part. I'm going to give him the thank you video. There you go, Ollie. That's what you should.
I like that.
I'll give him a big kiss.
Nice.
I could just give him 2 videos.
You guys have the best fans. I gotta say, you guys have the best fan base.
Have you missed this one, Lee?
No, I've already had it up and I waved.
Oh, I was on a different screen. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you don't see anything under 20 quid, do you?
Hell, man.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to work out how to. I was trying to post this video to X, so X has got it, but I can't. It won't let me send a video to X. Weird. I'll send it to YouTube after the show. If you
cool.
If you drop me your email in the chat, I'll Dropbox it or whatever over to you.
Nice. Yeah, I want to see it, dude. I think that, like I said, this is going to require a lot more investigation. I never thought in a million years these 2 cases would connect in any kind of significant way, but this is a really good catch, Lee.
So what would you say then, if we can say that these 2 things might be connected? What's the first thought that comes into your head?
The same motive, the same agency. I think the government made them. If these are hoaxed, the government either made them or altered them for release. That's what I think. Can I prove that? No, there's no fucking way. But I can't prove that these videos are fake either. I can't, these are hunches. But you look at, you can look at it in hindsight, compare it and contrast it with everything else we know about disclosure, about secrecy, about how these things are done. Even the stuff we know now about MK Ultra and stuff, like the government faking videos seems to be a real thing. And these are mysterious for no reason. So
I want somebody to identify that. Whatever. I know you said you think it's I don't think it's a hand.
I don't think it is now. No, it was just at first, because if like obviously you've got some sort of grippy thing there, and like at the bottom it almost looks like a wrist and a sleeve.
See, I mean, if it is a computer game, like, and it's somebody in a plane, helicopter, or whatever, then you'll be able to identify that from the game, that angle and whatever that is.
Oh my! I don't think this is. I don't think this is something that's been taken. I think it is a hand or something, but I think this has been like filmed on a projector, and that's what like something's gone. Something is pointing in front of the projector there, because that's why you can see the shadow behind it, and that's why the object is blown out. Because the projector lights on it it's blowing the contrast out for it.
Oh, go back a couple more frames. Right. Here's what I think it is.
Maybe.
I bet you, and here's one of the things I think we should probably do too if we're looking into this, right?
Yeah.
I bet you that's a piece of the airplane. It's part of the hatch, right? I think that there's a big window open. Something's open. And you can see the frame of the door or whatever opening the camera is aimed out of. And I think that the information or the gray patch that we're seeing on the right hand side towards the corner of the frame. Yeah. I don't think that that's water. I think it's just matching the same value as the water.
Right.
And so it's actually the interior of the plane or a piece of glass, that's separated from the glass that's open. And I just think that it's part of the plane. I bet you that if we went and looked for planes from this era that would be doing this type of flying, we might find a piece of the window handle that is actually is. You know what I mean? We might find it because it looks so weird. No one left that in on accident. You know what I mean? If that was from a video game or if that was a sign of forgery, it wouldn't have been left in on accident. My guess is that it's an attempt to make it look real, or it's a real part of the plane. For sure.
I mean, I would definitely say the MH370X needs to be all over this because the regicideanon is such a big part of the puzzle of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we can find out, and don't get me wrong, Lee could be wrong.
Sure, yeah, that's a hunch.
It could be wrong. They're just very
highly doubt it.
They're very fucking similar. The UFO does look different. But
kind of, it looks different. Kind of, I mean, it's behaving in a way. It looks like it's faster, but they speed the film up, so we really can't say. Hard to say. What would be crazy if someone goes, "Oh, that's this island," and then they found that house right there on that same island.
Holy shit! Yeah,
that's what we need. You know what I mean? Like, where is this? What is this? I mean, that lighthouse. This is obviously America. Looks East Coast, right? It's very interesting.
See that house there, and like because it being over water as well. In my head, like being not American makes me think of the Mississippi, the river, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Those trees are definitely eastern, southern. I mean, yeah. If it was in the West Coast, Northwest, there'd be some big ass trees out there. It would dwarf all that stuff. But this is so interesting. Like, I'm not. One to there might be packs out there that match this, right? The grain, the film grain, but I don't think that if the government had their hands on this at all, or if any agency or production company that was working or contracted for the government, they wouldn't use some stock stuff. They just wouldn't do it.
This is why I wanted you on for this too, because I know you're a video editor, so it's I dabble with it. I don't know a lot about video editing. I just chuck it together, But like, what sort of? There's a lot of if it's fake. There's so many different effects gone into this.
Yes. No, you're right. It's not. You can't just throw a film grain and effect over it. You could do that to any footage, and it won't look like this. The reason why this looks like that is because all of the whites are getting brighter at the same time. The imperfections of the film are in the film. Like there's scratches, but there's also these weird splotches. There's overexposures, underexposures. If you wanted. You can't just slap a film grain effect over it. You have to adjust manually these different little things that are happening, these different little events that are happening to the brightness and to everything else. And it's a painstaking. They would have to. It's a labor of love for real. Could someone have a series of effects that they could just layer and then slap onto anything? Yes, absolutely. That involves exposure fluctuations and imperfections, sharpness, blurs, all that stuff. But you might see it in other works too. And this is a very short moment. So for special effects, I mean, they usually handle special effects artists are used to handling whole scenes, right? Whole shots.
Should we bring the audio up? I know it's a little bit crackly, but I think it's important that we hear what the original Regiciding
Yeah, I'd love to
audio
hear.
said. It's hard to make out because it's put a silly croaky thing over it. But here we go.
Got so degraded, it looks like very little care was taken to preserve the footage before it was donated to the museum. You'll notice that it seems to go into fast forward partway through. This is because the capture frame rate was slowed down midway through the shot. I think this may have been the end of the film reel. Some film cameras are made to slow the reel when it gets close to reaching the end. It helps keep the film strip from being damaged when it finishes. The side effect is when you play it back, footage captured at a slower frame rate appears like it's in fast forward when it's displayed at a normal frame rate. Here I have adjusted it to compensate. It's choppy because there aren't as many frames per second, but I think this roughly represents real time.
The interesting thing about the Skinny Bob
I have a
thing.
few more World War
Sorry.
II era film reels that I have to work through, but I need to digitize them first before I process and post them.
That's interesting, the flicker on that. Because if that's a 3D element, the flicker is either manually done, rotoscoped in, or there's an artificial light added in and then removed to match the sun. But then that artificial light has to be adjusted with everything else that's happening. You know? So, like, it's very good work if it's fake, dude. Yeah, that. See that? And then the tilt and all that stuff. Like, you design that in 3D, and then you light it, and then you export with the lighting and put it in. And then after that, you affect everything else. But if the person who made this is adding that UFO in there, you know, you have to match it. Again, if you watch the whole video, the amount of frames is probably not a lot, but it is frame by frame work, which is the most tedious, right? And that's a labor of love right there if it's fake. So interesting. Yeah, because at first, remember, I was suspicious that the camera doesn't keep the UFO in the center of frame. But then as you watch the video, it's clear the camera is on a tripod or a mount that can't go up. It can't tilt. It can only go side to side. It can only pan. And it's most obvious when it goes into the fast forward thing. Now, what the guy said is that a lot of film cameras back in the day would speed up towards the end of the film reel in order to preserve the film, because it could cause tension, it could break. There's all kinds of stuff that could happen. I could not imagine recording on film. That'd be the craziest thing, right? So yeah, like the idea that this is at the end of a film reel, that this happened at the very end, that makes sense. The behavior of the film that lines up. You know what I mean? It works out. It conveniently means that you don't get to see any follow up, but we also don't know what it was filming beforehand. Like, why was there a camera on this plane at all?
Well, it would make sense to me why, if this is real, why you'd be able to get rid of this. Because if I take it, if it speeds up towards the end, that's so you can cut a certain amount of frames off the end so you can put it back onto a reel in order to play it back. So it would make sense that if you were able to steal any of it and take it away, it would be that end for those end frames that you could steal.
Yeah.
But on the Skinny Bob footage, what I will say about the film, the film grain that was put on is, and I hate to invoke the beasts, but the corridor crew did do a piece on some of this stuff, and the Skinny Bob footage was part of it, and they did find the film grain, not the grain, you know, the wear lines.
Yeah.
On the film, they found the same asset. Oh, sorry, they found somebody had found the same asset on Reddit. It's always someone on Reddit, isn't it? But yeah, no,
I don't doubt it. I mean,
yeah,
but that, you know, like if you'd want to find a rare asset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You wouldn't if your job was to make a hoax, like you and you want it to have it has the staying power. You know what I mean? You got to find something rare. It can't be a hodgepodge of a bunch of very like public, very well worn, well used assets because everyone's going to debunk it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
For sure. But I like the Corridor Crew, but to a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yeah,
To a special
100%.
effects house. You think they're ever going to say they can't make something? Are they ever going to be presented with a video? They'll be like, oh, we just can't do it. No, because they take pride in the fact that they can do it. That's what they do accomplish. But at the end of the day, they have yet to produce, a video like this.
I enjoy the fact that the Corridor Crew pretended like the half of that video didn't exist of the MH370 stuff. And it's that whenever someone does the debunk on it, they do a recreation of one of the parts of it and not the whole.
Yes.
You see, I've always been of the mindset, and I said this to Ashton. I think I said it to him after the show. I said it to him on the show. And I know the 3D thing where it's been like for one to be fake, the other has to be fake. But when you look at, I think the blue one, the one that's being filmed with the from the drone, I think that's fake.
You think the faux thermal is the fake one?
I think the thermal's fake. I think the other one's possibly not fake.
What gives you the impression that the blue and green one's fake?
This sounds crazy too, but it's almost like a feeling that and this is from the Skinny Bob footage as well, because I do think there might be something in to that Skinny Bob footage where there's something in there that could possibly be real. Maybe this, for example, maybe even the UFO. I don't know, but there might be something hidden within, like an Easter egg almost.
Yeah.
But because we don't have enough information about what happened with Regicideanon, and we don't know which came first, the thermal or the actually I think we do know which came first. I think the satellite one came first and then the thermal came.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if because we always say the government's like fucking at least 10 years ahead when it comes to tech, maybe even more.
Yeah.
And I think more. What if they go, guys, we need to sort this out. This is, at some point, they'll realize this is fucking real. We're going to have to make something and put it into the works to fuck this over, because this is going to reemerge. Even if we get rid of it, it's going to reemerge. So they make the fake. They make this thermal one, which is excellent.
There's only one issue with that, though, Ali.
The 3D thing.
No, it's the fact that if that thermal had been made to debunk the one on the right, then there would be something on the one on the left which made it easy to debunk. It would be the stock thing, wouldn't it? There would be. I mean, we could go with the stock flash if you want, but the stock flash is in both. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the thermal that people have tried to debunk the flash on. It's if anything, the two videos have constantly backed each other up.
That's true. That's true.
I know what you're saying with that. It's a feeling that I get, and you can never go on a feeling. But do you know when you just get that, like, I get that taste.
You can go off a feeling. You should go off feelings for the most part. You should. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink, and it's about decisions you make in an instant, and it opens up with a pretty interesting story about a art museum that received a word from a collector that they had this rare sculpture from an artist who had died, obviously, but it was a hidden work of theirs, and it was rumored to have existed. And this guy's like, I got it. brings it to the museum, and discusses like a deal. They you guys can have it for this. You do exposition for this, yada yada. But the curator is like, I got to verify this is real. It's passing all the checks that it's real. It's passing everything, but still something was he had to make sure, because this is a huge historical find. If so. So he brought in a bunch of people. I mean, like one after the other, like dozens of experts and collectors and artists and appraisers, and 90% of them were like, yeah, this is fake. But of that 90%, like most of them couldn't put their finger on it. Most of them couldn't. They couldn't articulate, identify verbally what it exactly was. Some of them described feelings like, when I look at it, I feel uneasy. I know it's fake because when I look at it, it gives me X or Y feeling. Now, like the book also explores how that can go awry really quickly, right? If you don't have all the information. But intuition is really helpful when you have a lot of information, and then you can really kind of like judge. And having looked at all these different videos and into the topic for a while, I would say, Ollie, you have a pretty solid understanding of what's around, what's provable, what's not. We've been looking at UFO videos probably our whole life, and photos and stuff like that. We've probably discovered that we had believed in hoaxes along the way, and that's a hard lesson to learn, something you don't forget, right? So, I say, if you have some years under your belt on this stuff, go with your instinct, go with your gut, like, because it's telling you something that you might not be able to discern immediately, but if it's there, follow it. Like, if it's giving you an uneasy feeling, dude, figure out what that is.
There's one thing for sure, and this is for you, Rich. That's just asked because he has no idea what he's looking at. He's a friend of mine. He's given us a super chat. MH370. This is MH370. Apparently, this came out. Was it 4 days after the plane went missing?
I believe the right video came out 2 days, but I could be wrong. I'm sure it was 2 days.
I think it was 4, Lee. I heard 4. I could be wrong on that, but 4 days.
Well, let's meet in the middle. Let's go 3.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not a big window to make a fake video back in 2011.
Also remember that isn't the only video. That video is 2 videos that are shot in stereo to make a 3D image. That incidentally, I believe Ashton's put, or someone has overlaid them now and put the red and blue filter on them. So if you've got those sort of wacky 90s 3D glasses, you can watch that, and it works in 3D. It is a stereoscopic image.
That's
hotly debated point. The stereoscopic and also the flash. Does the flash affect the clouds? And I think Ashton proved that they did, or he has, his researchers, people have proved that something's going on there. Very hard, right, to cast a shadow in broad daylight against the sun. Very hard to compete with that. But in that very moment of explosion is when it happened. So interesting.
The 2 big things for those videos for me are the vortexes in front of the orbs. That makes, if it's just somebody doing something, that makes no sense. Without the all the stuff that's come out about making like the field in front of them to help have them go forwards. Without knowing all that, it makes no sense to have this little vortex in front of them.
None.
And also when you see that one orb go through the clouds and leave a hole, and the minute I saw that, I thought, all right, okay, I do not believe somebody is going to the time and effort to make it so like a orb breaks a cloud and leaves a small hole in it, and you see the cloud disperse as it goes through as well.
Good points.
Yeah.
One thing that Corridor Crew didn't, at least I believe they didn't do that, is they said, "Oh, this was easy to debunk, and we can do this."
I don't think they debunked it. That was the weird thing about it all.
Yeah, but
they didn't.
That happened in 2014 is when that footage, the plane went missing in 2014. The footage came out 2 days later. I think it's 4.
3.2.
Yeah. They didn't recreate the video. Well, they didn't recreate anyway. But the people that have done it, and there's a few people that have done it on YouTube. You can now. None of them have done it on a computer from 2014 with the software from 2014.
And the deadline.
And that was the interesting thing as well. That was the interesting thing with the Corridor Cruise one, because if you remember, where like that all started when Ashton was on Danny Jones, and Danny Jones said, "I've got these guys that have recreated it."
Yeah,
they recreated it with 2011 technology. Lo and behold, like, a couple of weeks late as well. You know, it took ages for the Corridor Crew debunk to come out after the Danny Jones podcast. And like they were using Blender or something like that to do it in. You know, this whole thing of using it in
there's
like
no way.
2011 technology, it was bullshit.
There's no way, because you can never, when it comes down to this video and recreations, never trust someone saying that they could do it. They have to acknowledge a series of things first, right? Which is right off the bat, I'm looking at something that the original artist didn't have. I have a reference that the original artist did not have. I have the work. You know what I mean? Like, if you never saw a Picasso, but someone was like, "Can you make a Picasso?" You wouldn't know what the hell's going on. But if you saw one Picasso and someone's like, "Can you recreate it?" But yeah, here's a bunch of squares. Like, fucking, I can do it any day, right? Like, because you saw the prototype, you saw what you have to achieve. The original artist had nothing to achieve to. They had no benchmark. They had no example. They had nothing. They made this from scratch. So right off the bat, you have to account hours of your let's say two, your 2-day limit, right? You have hours of coming up with the perfect shot. You have to come up with the shot. This didn't exist before. There wasn't, I never saw a satellite image of a plane ever before. And let's just go with the one on the right. That's the one that was made within days. So you have to come up with that idea. Then you have to achieve that idea 100%, right? And you have to find all these elements in that same time frame and then bust it out. Cool, okay. But then, like you said, now we got a hole punch in the cloud. Mm-hmm. Now we got a light source in the explosion. We got actual backlit clouds. You're telling me you accomplished your goal that fast that you were then going to just start adding extra stuff in there to fluff it up? Because you're like, I got extra time. I'm going to upload this in 2 hours. Let's see what else going to add in here. Oh, let's talk about render time. Let's talk about render time, right? I feel blessed now, right? If I wanted to render something like that, it could take me 10 minutes, could take me an hour, right? Mm-hmm. But we're in 2011, dude. We're in render time of 10 hours. Like you're doing a lot of work, and like the bigger the scene, the bigger the issue. So let's take the video on the left-hand side, the so-called thermal one. That one, you have to create all those assets in 3D. If you're creating that, you're creating it from scratch, which means there's nothing there. There's no video of a plane that you're adding the orbs to. It's all scratch. So now the physics are there, but now all your physics have to match that 2D one. Right, that satellite view, it has to match that. All the mechanics of the spiraling, the turning of the plane, the banking of it, and you got clear parallax clouds in the thermal image one. Clear cut, right? So now you're adding way more work to it, and you still have to export that and then upload that somehow. I think it's damn near impossible to do it from your home in that time limit. And Corridor Crew, here's what I would suggest to the Corridor Crew if you ever see this. Corridor Crew, I love you guys. I think you guys are awesome. When it comes down to this debunk, you guys got to do a little bit more work. Create a different scene of a plane doing something totally different from a satellite video of something that you've never seen in your life. Imagine the satellites in the space can see a plane from a certain angle. Now recreate something like this. Make it look and feel as real. Give yourself 4 days to do it on a 2014 top-of-the-line consumer computer with the top-of-the-line consumer-grade special effects. Tell us how long it took you to export it. Tell us how long it took you to come up with the shot idea. Document everything down the line and see if you can do it in 4 days. And then let America and the world gauge your success. Don't deliver it and say we successfully created and debunked this. Let us decide, because if that has yet to happen yet, and I think that's the reason why I back up Ashton when he says they haven't been debunked, and the Corridor Crew is gonna what does he say? Like, I forgot what he said. Like, he's like, they're gonna be on on a live watch or something like that. Like, they're gonna be so hurt when they realize that they were wrong, and he has every reason to hold that idea, because they overpromised and underdelivered when it come down to we successfully debunked that video.
especially when you consider that their old work as well. You know, because I always think about the like the Boston Dynamics stuff they
sure.
do. You know, where they do the robots, and it's fantastic work. Like those robots have weight. They interact with human beings. It looks incredible. And but they're still not given. They're not given enough up when it comes to this.
And when they do that, when those guys do those videos, they have a studio of like 7 guys that you never see on camera whose sole job it is to like rotoscope and stuff, right? They have a studio of people working on all these projects to make them believable and good and finished and polished and whatnot. Like, you know, we either have to assume that there was a production house who was making these for fun, or they were contracted to make them for someone else and held to secrecy. Because you know, you gotta show me someone other than Chris Cunningham, who's a prodigy, who had probably the top of the line everything, even like beyond consumer grade stuff in that laptop of his. You know, I'm not seeing it, not that speed, and not without credit. I still show videos I made in 2011. I'm like, yeah, hyped on it. I would never be like, I don't know who made that. Maybe some mystery guy, and then just sit back and sip a beer. No, dude, I want the credit for that for sure.
That's what people that are creative do. It's if you're in a band and you write a new song, the first thing you want to do is go out and gig it. You want people to hear it.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's stuff like this is why I love doing this sort of thing. It's the mysteries that won't go away.
Yeah,
that make it worth doing.
I totally agree, dude. And I love the debate. Like, I love, like, you know, hearing it from both sides because it sharpens it at the end of the day. Like, this is kind of a spectator sport, but it, you know, if you apply yourself, it doesn't have to be. Like, looking at, like, these videos, like, you finding the connection between Skinny Bob and Regicideanon, like, that could be a real big thing. You know what I mean? And so it just takes keen eyes and stuff. But,
yeah, Lee doesn't do a lot, but every now and again he just pulls the blinder. And cheers, Rich. Thank you so much, my friend.
You're going to have to do a lot more than give him a kiss now.
I know. Yeah. And thank you, Bella B. We appreciate you.
You're going to be putting that other T-shirt on after meet him.
These guys have paid for the software tonight, Lee.
Oh, they're paying for the hardware. We're beyond software.
We appreciate you. Awesome.
Well, you guys got the best fans, man. You're the best fans.
No, I mean, I honestly, Toops, I really do feel like Lee's found something tonight. Well, not tonight. Was it a couple of nights ago? You sent me this
Monday, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think there's something to this.
It's that even when you pop it straight on, you go, oh, they could be from the same video, couldn't they?
Yes, that's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. They could be from the same video. They could be from the same project. They could be from the same series of stacks of film reels. Something's going on. Of course, the object on the left looks more bulbous, like just like a egg-shaped object, right? But we don't get a lot of information from the angle we're at. We're looking at the object from a totally different angle.
Yeah,
from below, you might not see that part at the bottom that we can see when we're straight on with it, right? But at the same time, what if one's a mothership and one's a drone, right? What if one's a bomber and one's a scout? We don't know. We have no idea what these things are. So, but they look for like they're from the same, what do you call it? Like the same species, right? Or the same status of something, or the same style, same aesthetic. That's for sure. There's something to it, dude. Like, cause it sparks in my mind, like these are from the same like 3-year period. What else was being put out around that time? You know, what projects were being worked on that never saw production, but the pre-works was getting in there, the proof of concepts, right? Because there's all these different storyboard artists and concept artists, right, who produce damn near perfect pieces of art, but it's just so that some film producer can go into a meeting, give his elevator pitch, say, look, we're going to go on Avatar, it's this planet, Pandora, and this is what it looks like, and then the guys go, okay, I can see it, and they green light it, you know what I mean? But those artists have so much extra work that never sees the light of day, right? They're just concept artists. Now we have AI to knock that out. Poor guys. Over. But like, you know, so there's could be a stockpile of footage that someone in a production house found and was like, oh, I'm going to leak this out here. Well, we don't get in trouble. But even then, you have projects like Taken, the V show, all these different alien shows that have come out and even been canceled or whatever. Like, they're big deals. Someone should have come out and been like, this is guys, this is just deleted footage, you know what I mean, from our failed pitch for Close Encounters of the Third Kind TV series in 1999. You know, that has yet to happen.
And the V one's a good example, actually, because I loved V, actually, the remake. I thought it was really good.
I did. It was
but
bloody great. She was
special effects in it were awful. You know, like you watch that back now, they've aged really badly. But the reason I popped that comment up here from Nocturnal Hell is, Jurassic Park came out in 1993. I'm not sure whether they're trying to use that as like a debunking thing or not. But the thing is, I remember watching a documentary about Jurassic Park being made, and I'm almost convinced it was still Industrial Light and Magic that were the boys when it came to film special effects at the time. And when it came to doing the CGI of the raptors, showing you the fucking server rooms they were using to do the 3D rendering of those things back then. And it's, you know, that to me hammers at home even more. You know, it's you're not just talking about like a really good, like high-end workstation that they were using. You're talking like server room sized computers.
A lot of them. I mean, when you look back on Toy Story, how many hours it took to render one frame, let alone 1 second. And then you also want to take things like Jurassic Park. We say Jurassic Park, we know that the film itself has like this like record, right, of being believable, of having amazing special effects, but it's also of the time, and it's also a whole film with a story that worked. The film worked, right? It felt good to watch. So we can't just, you know, and you want to isolate the things too, right? Where you're like, it's a combination of what are they called? Animatronics, right? And a combination of CGI in the best light. Like when they use the CGI the most, right, is the T-Rex scene at night when it's raining.
Oh God, that's amazing.
Right. So you have one source of light, and everything's wet. So texture-wise, everything looks the same. You're not going to expect to see velvety hair. Everything looks the same when it's wet. So they maximize the potential of their CGI. They built scenes and sets around it so that you wouldn't notice it. You know, they did everything they could to make sure you didn't notice. Then when they got close up where you'd be able to see the flaws of CGI, they had a fucking $1 million animatronic T-Rex head with scales and with all the little like details. So that way when you got close, the illusion never broke. You know, that, so like it's not just the fact that the CGI was good and what could also be done by the year 2000 on a laptop, which I debate, you know, I mean, a little bit, I debate that a little bit, but like, it's that the design is why it looks so good. The planning is why it looks so good. It took a ton of people and a ton of planning, a ton of troubleshooting, a ton of pre-production to test it out. No one showed up on set the first day or to the production the first day and goes, we're gonna have to put the T-Rex in the rain at night with one spotlight because otherwise it's gonna look fake. They didn't know that. They just started to experiment with it and really realize it because that was the first movie with it to that degree, right? Of course, you have the abyss, you have these other elements, and then the first shot of Jurassic Park that has a CG is when the brontosaurus or whatever it is, I'm not a dinosaur expert, but the long neck thing that stands on its hind legs to reach the tall trees, that's the shot that aged the worst over the years because it's in direct sunlight and they can't match the values back then. They couldn't do it. There was barely any digital color correction back then. You know, the first film that was digitally color corrected all the way through was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? If that tells you anything. Yeah. Because that's pretty modern, you know,
like every in the UFO community, it's amazing how many times people bring up Jurassic Park. Like people always bring up like, yeah, it's good, but have you seen Jurassic Park?
Yeah. Yeah.
But the thing is, they had a massive fucking budget.
One of the biggest. It was like Spielberg's like, it's a whole thing. He is Hollywood, you know what I mean?
But I do agree with one thing with Skinny Bob. There's definitely fake footage in there. 100%. You know, the scenes with that thing, you can see that it isn't real. It looks great, but it's not real. But there's certain scenes that spliced together in that footage that are just like, you just got the head scratcher. And like,
Sorry, Ollie. So, did you say 2012 was the Skinny Bob when it came out?
2011, I thought.
2011.
2011. Oh well, yeah, we're okay. We're within a year. So I'm just looking here at like graphics cards and stuff like that, and like the highest rated NVIDIA graphics cards, like consumer stuff at the time, was or the highest rated NVIDIA one we'll go with was a GTX 680 running in SLI with 2 gig each, and that was and their benchmark.
So it'll play Half-Life on max settings.
Yeah,
No,
if you played Crysis 2, your computer blew up with that, dude. Like,
at 1200p. So that was the benchmark was rendering Crysis at 1200p at 80 frames a second. So my voice disappeared then. You know, this and you're fucking around with cards in SLI there as well, which, you know, fucking SLI graphics cards was a fucking terrible time for everybody. So I just don't believe people are knocking this stuff out.
Yeah, I don't think Skinny Bob CGI anyway. I think it's a practical effect, and it may have some CGI over it. I don't know.
I think there's a blend. I think there's a blend. You know what I mean? There's a blend there, which it's like I'm trying to come up with a good analogy for it, but it's a piece of art, right? And it's created to such a high degree that it's lasted this long in the debate, which means like it accomplished something that very few professional artists can accomplish, right? Like that work and get paid for it. So it's absolutely an anomaly made by someone who hasn't been credited for it. So what we could say, he's a savant. They are a prodigy. You know, the skill is so high, the mixed media level, the artistry of it's so high. It begs the question. That's just as mysterious now as what the subject of the film is, right? So the subject is something crazy. It's UFOs, it's aliens. But we got to dive into who made it and how they did it. Like looking into the graphics cards that are available at the time is scratching the surface. You know what I mean? But it's there. Like that's what we need to be looking into. So interesting. Because basically, I think could happen is, I think if someone went through and said this is what's available, we talked to several different special effects artists who were at the peak of their career at this time. We talked to people that have credits for the best CGI films that were out, right? Lord of the Rings or whatever. We have people who were doing this from home. We have their reels, we have their portfolios. We know that the stuff that what they could do. And here's their opinion on what this is and how hard it would have taken, how long the render would have been, what the software is that could have done it, the telltale signs of that software. That could be done, you know what I mean, in a 10-page presentation, if someone wanted to go out there and dive into it that way. Because then you could say, okay, this is actually 99% or some high percentage doable from home or not. Now you're looking at like production houses, right? Now you're looking at like who was contracted by a mystery client that said do this. Sorry, my dog is wigging out. You're okay, buddy. But yeah, I think
trying to get his copyright claims.
I don't know what that one that came up then.
Dude, the copyright claims, dude. YouTube needs
yeah, is Sci-Fi sorted now?
No, not yet. No, not yet. So we got false copyright claimed from King Milkfart. 3 false copyright claims that we were using his image, a private image, against his will. Which it was an image from a YouTube video, an interview he did with Goofon. So it's very public.
I remember that interview.
Yeah, he did it. So like, it's totally false. It's fraudulent. He's abusing the system, but a lot of people do. But
have you contacted Goofon?
No. I actually don't. I'm not a fan of Goofon personally. Not to hash out a bunch of like beef or whatever. But
but I'm pretty sure if you said, "Listen, Rich, he's done a copyright claim from us showing this on our show that was on your show," because technically it's Goofon's show. It wasn't King Milfart's show.
True. Yeah. True.
I know.
He would have to make the claim.
Rich is a reasonable guy. I'll go,
He
yeah,
is.
that's all right.
Yeah. I don't think Rich is crazy, or nothing, but like him and I, we just don't see eye to eye on stuff. But like I when that thing, the whole thing is it's a black eye on ufology. They'll figure this out pretty soon. Silencing people and content creators with false strikes is just it's one of those extra things that just gets added to the mix that just continues to look bad on us. But
well, I think that's the shit thing at the moment, isn't it? Is the
for sure.
It is the people just not allowing people to just, or trying to not allow people to just continue doing what they were doing, and in some cases, doing what those people were doing themselves up until a short time ago.
No, I agree.
I don't understand it. I don't get what the. I just don't get it. I've never found anything that I've watched and gone, I don't like that. I think these people should stop doing it.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
You're you're the censor, right? You're big brother and stuff. It's crazy, but the reasoning has to go beyond. I just don't like it. The reasoning, for this has been revealed through, different like people who were in cahoots with KMF and cahoots with this group, who have flipped and come out and shared DMs and said, look, like there was definitely a concerted effort by multiple groups made up of multiple different people, dozens of people, that have decided to act as the censors of ufology, decide who's in, who's out, and will go to illegal, dishonest methods to remove undesirables from what they view as their either their community or the community that should be owned by their heroes or whatever. It's very sketchy.
I think I've never seen anything like it. Again, it was the Ashton thing where there was a 48-hour period where it was just crazy. I've never seen so many people go after one thing, and it was like really odd people as well that you didn't expect. Like the but like John Greenwald is the Vault guy, isn't he?
Correct.
Vault. Yeah, and Glenn Greenwald is the New York Post guy.
Stephen Greenstreet.
Stephen Greenstreet.
Yeah.
There's too many Greenwalds and Greens.
Yeah.
Too many Greens.
And like just those two chiming in, especially Greenwald, I didn't expect it from him. And I enjoy his stuff. I enjoy his stuff, and I take notice of what he does as well. That's I had a bit of an argument with him on Twitter about what the whole Ashton thing, but I don't. It's not disparaging to what he does, because I think he does some good stuff, but it was just really weird. It was really weird why that conspiracy wasn't just allowed to run its course.
Wait, what do you mean? What conspiracy? What do you mean?
Like the Ashton, even if those videos were fake, he wasn't just allowed to have his conspiracy that ran its course and then naturally allow people to lose interest in it. Which, oddly enough, I think if the Danny Jones and Julian Dory, whatever his name was, I think if that hit hadn't happened, I don't think this takes off.
No, you're right. I mean,
I think it just fades away.
I'll announce it here. I have a very unique perspective on this, and I have a play-by-play of everything that happened from the point when Ashton came out to like now, and I'm working on a video that just walks the viewer through like how many crazy things happened as Ashton began to talk more and more about this. Because what I've determined is the reason why I want to make a video about it is because it reveals a mechanic. It reveals part of the immune system of the community that it's artificial, right? This idea that like, how does it work? Someone shows up who is undesirable, who isn't going to play ball with everything else that's happening. What's the tactic there? What's the motive? And what's the goal? And it always is the same. And so with Ashton's case, he was so public about it, and the people thought that he had so little to defend himself with and so little, to offer, that they went too strong on their attack on him, and they made it too public because they thought that it would easily disappear. Ashton has qualities I admire in anyone, which is stubbornness, perseverance. You know what I mean? Like, and that got him through a lot further than other people expected. And so what's happening now, and what has been happening over the past couple of months, is that all these actions taken against him to silence him have now bubbled up to the surface, and we can all look at them, right? And that's not going to be good for the people who did this, because I have records based on people's statements who made the call, who called what podcast to warn them about Ashton, who called the podcast, why did they call,
who called Joe Rogan,
who called, well, we already know who called Joe Rogan. Isn't that interesting?
Who called Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan on his show said that Jeremy Corbell told him the videos were bullshit.
Did he say that Jeremy Corbell called him though, or did he say he just rang Jeremy Corbell and asked about
That's
it?
the same thing, Ollie.
Yes, it is.
Listen. After Rogan reached out to Ashton is when people reached out to Rogan, and that has to be noted. How did they know Rogan reached out to Ashton? How is it a happy accident? Who called Julian Dory and Danny Jones before Ashton made it on their thing? Why did they suddenly do something they've never done, which is a gotcha interview?
Even the interview with the Higher Side Chats was an odd interview. If you listen back to that, I've listened to that like almost weekly for years, the Higher Side Chats, and it was a different interview than he normally does.
Yep. And I think the reason is and what I'll show with my video is that there are people who were making calls to convince these people that Ashton was a criminal, was a Russian agent. They would say anything they had to say to these podcasters to make sure that they knew that their job was to out a terrible parasite on any community. Their job was to destroy, dismantle a hoaxer, a huckster, a terrible person, an abusive person. That's what they were told. That's what they did. That's why they did what they did. Not because they were in on some prank, not because they had been convinced to be bad people, not because of any other reason other than they were given one view of someone before they talked to him. And then by the time he showed up, their view was so complete. They were hand-fed from so many different angles this perspective or perception of their target that he's, and then the amazing thing about Ashton's story too is that all of the attacks on him were public. All of them. Now the phone calls to the podcasters and to each other, that's different. But a lot of the attacks were public. I mean, there were things said publicly that I know these guys do not want to have recorded, but they were. And there were direct plans, direct action. I don't know if you've heard this, Lee, but like there was a spaces where a group of individuals got together, and this is, if you want me to name them, I'll name them. There's no hiding. Yeah. So it's Think Tank. It's actually UAP Mike. It's Uplifting Tweets, who designs the thumbnails and memes, both for Weaponized and Jeremy Corbell, but also for the enemies of Weaponized, the enemies of disclosure as they dictate. You got a lot of, I think Dandy was in there. You got a lot of people who run in this hate group, this UFO hate group, who were in a spaces, and what they said was very clear. And they said that Ashton had stole the research from the Reddit account or the Reddit subreddit for MH370, that everything Ashton said was said by somebody else, that if they don't act soon, then Ashton will take the narrative and they won't be able to research it anymore, that they were worried that Ashton was going to control the MH370 narrative, and they had to figure out ways to not let that happen. And they were terrified that they were going to be cut out of what they had deemed as their research. That's a very crazy statement. But that's true. That's a true recording. And then, these are the guys who these are the same guys who made the fake GoFundMe and spread it around like it was real. These are the same guys who made fake sexual assault allegations against Ashton that were completely fabricated. But these things spread like wildfire within a week after the space happened, and it tainted everybody's view of him. So that way, like, you know, there's a lot of political figures get this treatment too, where they're given so many, it's death by 1,000 cuts. They're given so many different small bits of information that are false that paint a picture for you to create a character in your mind for somebody to then, after the character is made in your mind, you feel like you know them. You know, and like even with political figures, regardless of the side, right? Regardless of the side, people who have very strong political beliefs for their side or against the other will act as if they know the other. I know that person's evil. I know that person's bad. Well, have you ever seen them, hung out with them? Have you looked? No. I just get that feeling, you know, and they don't realize it's because every time they open a book, a magazine, I'm sorry, it's like not 1995. Every time they open up a website, an app, the social media, they're fed the same information that reinforces their belief, and people don't confront their beliefs. They never do. They just want it to be reinforced. So it's a very sophisticated psychological intelligence, counterintelligence move, what has happened. And I think with Ashton's case, it's the most fleshed out and illustratable, and I think it could serve as a huge warning to people coming out with new ideas, but also a slap in the face to the people who tried to do this and will try to do it, right? They will continue to do this. And so it's important because it was crazy what happened. Ashton's story is it's continuing to go, but it gets crazier and crazier, dude. Like, especially the more people that bet on his failure, I love it.
Yeah, but it was dead funny. It was no one of note, but obviously we've had Ashton on the show quite a lot, and
good friend.
So somebody after the first time we had him on, I think it was, reached out to us and said about the petition that the court thing he'd sent about the anti-masking, there, and then there was someone else said something about him being like anti-vax, and I'm sat here going, I don't know if you're wanting to discredit him with this because you are not playing the right notes for me here. Yeah. But, if you're making that video, if you need any like podcast B-roll, we put all the stuff we did with Ashton in a playlist in our on our channel. So feel free to snip anything out of there if you need.
Thank you. I definitely will scour that. I think it's this happened to me too, to a lesser degree, right?
Hashtag you too.
Right, exactly. But it did. It happened. And I'd be in a spaces having conversations with everyone, every walk of life. That's how I like having conversations. And I was getting people would pop in and be like I remember this one guy popped in, he's from India, and he's like, Tupa. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on, man? He'd been in my spaces like 3 or 4 times up to this point. And he's like, why am I getting all these DMs that you're a racist? And I go, what? He goes, yeah, like I'm getting DM'd by so many people that you're like a terrible person. Like I talk to you all the time. I know you're not terrible, but what's going on? Why are these people doing this? And then more people came out of the woodwork and were like, I'm getting DMs. People started to send them to me. People were like hitting, like, they're like, oh, this man named Darren Reed just sent me this like thing that you're like anti-Semitic, dude. It goes, these are very, they try to be as sneaky as they want, but it comes out, and you find out that like, as interested as the people I surround myself with, I consider you guys like-minded. Like, we're looking for answers in mysteries, right? We like that. That's what gets us going in the morning. That's why when we look at this stuff, we want to solve the mystery. I've never had the inclination to silence somebody because their idea was different than mine. I've never had that inclination. I've never thought that this is a game of perception. Dude, this is a game of, we're in a low information zone. We need more of it, more info, more time, right? More data, like keep it coming. The idea that you're going to sit there and be like, oh, Tupa doesn't get to talk because of this, and Ashton, he definitely doesn't get to talk. Like, under what circumstances, like, are we letting each other make these decisions, and who's behind it? I think is a big deal, because it feels artificial. I'll just end it here. It feels super artificial. It's not a natural community reaction to for us to behave this way, or to because Ashton's just another researcher bringing data to a low information zone. We don't have that for Cash Landrum. We don't have that for Roswell. We don't have that for anything. To have it for MH370 is a godsend. You know what I mean? Like, let it be. Just let him be. Like, I'll, check in with them next year and see how good it's going. Like, why are we watching this until he either burns down? You know what I mean? Or why are people sitting there salivating every time someone of note criticizes Ashton? You're going to see all these community people who are otherwise open-minded people and very nice. You'll just see them be like, I told you so. This guy's a fucking loser. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, where's the vitriol coming from? But I think part of it has to do with the way Ashton, if you're listening, I love you, bro. But like, people looked at him and they thought he was a worm, a nerd. They did not think that he was going to have any backbone ever. They're like, flannel, glasses, you know what I mean? Skinny guy. Like, he's going to blow over as soon as I huff and puff. He just stood there. And the more he stood strong, the madder it made people who thought that he was an easy dunk. We're going to dunk on Ashton today, but they couldn't. And I love watching. I think we all like rooting for the underdog at some point, and he's up against it, dude. So it's just one of those like David and Goliath things. It's just really fun to watch because they kept betting against them. But the video's the video.
Mm. I see why some people might not believe the videos. I guess.
Sure.
I
mean, it's a fucking plane being zapped out of existence by fucking orbs.
It's something no one's ever seen.
Yeah, but at the same time, for one man to believe this and do the research that he's done, and for people to get so fucking angry over it, is insane to me. I mean, it's literally it's conspiracy. This is what if you can't handle that, you're in the wrong game, people.
But this is the thing, and I think this is what Toop's alluding to, is it's not people, it's 4 or 5 people. It's a small group of people that shout really loudly, and they constantly hold spaces, and they keep this stuff sort of going around and keep people arguing with each other. That's what I said, I think, on that show we did on the Sunday, and I'm probably, over the past week, I haven't been very good at keeping my own promise and of not interacting with some of these people. But if we stop, that goes away and we can just get back to shit as it used to be.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's really, really, really fun to wreck them online as well.
Yeah, but people don't seem to realize that you've taken over the Twitter account.
No. This is one of these people in particular is getting very angry, but like you are taking them down quite eloquently.
Oh dear me. But yeah,
they should know I've took over the account anyway, just because of the spelling. It's not much better, but it's notably better.
I'm the worst speller, dude. Like I just have a careless approach to it.
My name.
Dude, I've done so much graphic design work too. I'll stare at a word and I'll be changing the font, and after 3 or 4 fonts, I'm like, is that how you spell the? Am I tripping, dude? Like, no way. Doesn't make any sense, dude. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Tupa, mate, the amount of times I send Lee a thumbnail and go, this is the one, he goes, you spelt that fucking wrong. I'm like, fuck.
Dude, I made a poster recently for an event coming up, and I accidentally wrote 2004 instead of 2024. It's like, dude, whatever, man. like I'm looking at the composition, I'm looking at the color, I'm looking at so many different things, dude. I think I gotta hire like someone who just does the spelling for me for graphics. Like, just double check that. I'll make the art. Hilarious. I'll make it look good.
Like, yeah. I mean, I'm dyslexic anyway, but like Ollie, it's like weapons grade fucking retardation at times. Weapons grade.
Absolutely.
It's hard.
It's
hard to do.
It's a fucking phenomenon, mate. It really is. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we have hit the 2-hour mark.
I think. Easily done with you guys. Yeah. Easily done.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Before we go, can we just to remind anybody that might have just come tonight, we're gonna get it out on Tupa. I'm gonna send you it after the show. But yeah, I want people looking into this. There's something about IVAN0135 and REGICIDEANON. I think you're right. It's not often, Lee, but I think you're right.
Thanks, Ollie.
If you put this up with the dates on each video, and
If I
you
knew
know,
the
like
dates.
if you do the dates, these were released in 2011. This one was released 2014, and the fact that no one has owned up, no one's owned up to the creation of them, that's a viral video. That's a viral. Also, you have to connect the fact that the REGICIDEANON is the same account that the MH370 videos came from. You get a little explainer like that. That side by side stuff is compelling. It's compelling as hell. So it's definitely something to build off of.
Well, X, go to work.
Yeah, you guys know what to do.
do your thing, and Tupa, they know they can find you. But just before we go, just
For everybody, thank you guys for watching. This has been an amazing show. I can't believe you guys had me on. I feel honored to look at those videos and examine them. I love examining footage and stuff like that. I never get a chance to do it. You guys can find me on Tupacabra Vids on YouTube, Tupacabra 2 on Twitter. I put out video content and funny shit posts all day. And Skyfire News, find me there working with Red Panda Koala and our team, and we're just putting out as much relevant UFO information as possible that two guys can possibly do. But yeah, find me there. Check out everything I'm doing. If you guys like it, subscribe. If you don't, let me know, and we'll figure it out from there.
well, thank you so much, mate. And we've got obviously you can go check us out on all our platforms. We're on everything. We're on X right now, as we speak. Rumble. More people go to Rumble just in case something happens with YouTube. And yeah, we are on all the major podcast thingy-majiggy bobs.
Yeah, you can also check out our sister podcast too, The Conspiracy Mothership, if you don't get enough of us as it is.
There you go. If you want a bit of merch, it's there. We've got loads of them.
You guys got the best merch in all of ufology right now. So
I appreciate that, mate. Even this one.
Yes, that's one of my favorites actually. It's really good.
If you wouldn't mind hanging about just after the show for 2,
Sure,
be
yeah.
great. But yeah, good night. God bless people. Mind the bugs don't bite. Make sure you check. Oh, tomorrow, be me and Dave.
Yeah.
We're having come and ask us anything. Just don't ask Dave's real name because he gets a bit touchy about that. Winner, chicken dinner. What a show! What a show! What a show! Like,
Good stuff.
I mean it.
We're still live, by
Excellent.
the way. Just
I
making
know.
sure you know. Just making sure.
X, go to work. Good night. God bless.
X gonna give it to you.